Millions of people use Craigslist every day to buy, sell, or find a job. But what happens when a simple ad leads to something far more sinister? These aren't just weird encounters. They're real, terrifying Craigslist stories where trust turned into fear and ordinary moments became life-altering nightmares. Tonight, you'll hear 3 disturbing true accounts that will make you think twice before replying to that next online listing. Grab your headphones, lock your doors. This is about to get dark. This happened back in 2017, and honestly, I still can't explain what really went down. At the time, I had just gotten out of a long-term relationship, and I was trying to fill my days with anything to keep my mind distracted. I'd always been into photography, so I figured I'd start picking it up again. That led me to Craigslist. I was looking for a used DSLR camera, nothing fancy, just something solid to get back into it. I came across this post for a Canon 7D with a few lenses. The pictures looked real, the price was good but not too good, and the post read like someone who knew what they were talking about. The seller's name was Jake and he responded fast. Said he was a college student upgrading his gear. I asked if I could see it in person. He told me he lived just outside the city about 30 minutes away and that I could swing by that night. Normally I would have hesitated, but he sent me a picture of the camera in its bag, plus one with a timestamp, so I figured it was legit. I told him I'd come by around 8 and he gave me the address. It was in a semi-rural area, one of those spots where there's a bunch of newer developments, surrounded by long stretches of empty road and overgrown fields. I got there a few minutes early and parked at the end of a long gravel driveway. The house was small and plain dark green siding, no lights on. I figured maybe he just hadn't turned anything on yet or he was in the back. I sent him a text letting him know I was there. He replied, "Cool, just come on in, front door's unlocked." I'm setting up the gear. Now, that should have been my red flag. I paused for a second. Something felt off about it, but I tried to brush it off. This was a 21-year-old guy, not some serial killer, right? Maybe he was just casual like that. I told myself I'd go in, stay near the front, check the camera, and leave. So I walked up to the porch and opened the door. The inside of the house smelled wrong, like mold and old wood and something faintly metallic. It was dark except for a single floor lamp in the living room to the right. The whole place was empty, no furniture, no pictures, nothing but shadows stretching across bare walls. I called out, "Jake?" No answer. I stepped in further and stopped in the middle of the room. The floor creaked beneath me. From the back of the house, a door creaked open slowly. I couldn't see anything beyond it, just a hallway leading deeper inside. Then I heard footsteps, deliberate, slow, heavy. "Jake?" I said again, this time louder. Still nothing. Then the footsteps stopped. I don't know what possessed me to stay. I think I was frozen, trying to figure out if this was a prank or something. That's when I heard a voice, low and raspy, echo from the hallway. "Asterisk, asterisk, you're early." I turned to leave. I didn't care about the camera anymore. I didn't even care how rude it seemed. I just knew something was wrong. As I opened the door to get out, I heard the footsteps start again, this time faster, coming toward me. I bolted out the door and ran to my car, not looking back. As soon as I was in, I locked the doors and started the engine. In my rearview mirror, I saw a figure step onto the porch, tall, broad shoulders, wearing a hood. Just standing there, not moving. I reversed so fast I nearly hit the mailbox, then peeled out of that driveway and didn't stop driving until I got back into town. Later that night, I texted Jake again, not sure why. Maybe to see if he'd try to explain or deny it. The message didn't go through. I checked the Craigslist post. Gone? His number? Disconnected. I even looked up the address he gave me. Here's the weird part. There's no house listed there anymore. When I drove past the area again a few weeks later out of curiosity, that whole plot of land was empty. Just a concrete foundation, partially covered in weeds like something had been torn down. There's no way I imagined it. I was inside that house. I smelled it. I heard the floorboards. To this day, I don't know who or what was waiting for me that night, but I haven't used Craigslist since. I never will again. This happened in 2020, right in the middle of the lockdown. I was working remotely and had just moved into a new apartment in a quieter part of the city. Being stuck inside for weeks made me want to finally do something about the place. It was basically just white walls and echoing floors. I started scrolling through Craigslist for some secondhand decorations, mirrors, wall art, shelving, things like that. I came across a listing for vintage wall decor $15. The photos showed a bunch of random stuff, old framed paintings, weird little clocks, rustic wooden signs. It was all the kind of stuff I might find at a flea market, which was perfect for the vibe I was going for. I texted the number listed and got a response almost instantly. The seller said her name was She seemed friendly, maybe even a little too chatty. She said she was moving and just wanted to get rid of everything quickly. She offered to meet up the next evening at her place since the stuff was too fragile to move back and forth. I was hesitant, obviously. Meeting strangers at their homes wasn't something I'd normally do, especially not alone. But she insisted it was totally safe and even said, "Don't worry. I'll leave the door open for you so you don't even have to knock. Just walk right in, I'll be in the kitchen packing up." That should have been the first red flag. But I was bored, the stuff looked cool, and honestly I just wanted an excuse to leave the apartment for a bit. Her address was only 20 minutes away. When I pulled up the next evening, it was already dark out and the street was completely empty. The house was at the end of a cul-de-sac, small and narrow, with no lights on inside. The porch light was literally flickering like something out of a horror movie. Still, I got out of the car. I texted her "Hey, I'm here." She replied a few seconds later, "Doors open, smiley face, still come in, just down the hall." So I walked up to the house. The front door was slightly cracked open, just like she said. I stepped inside. Immediately, the smell hit musty and sweet, almost like dried flowers mixed with something metallic. It was dark inside, too dark for a place someone was supposedly packing up in. The only light came from a small lamp way down the hallway, barely illuminating anything. The decor on the walls was weird. There were old, dirty porcelain dolls mounted inside glass boxes like display cases. One of them had a cracked face and was missing an eye. Others looked like they hadn't been touched in decades. The hallway carpet was stained and lumpy, like something had been dragged over it too many times. I took a step forward and said, "Danny?" No response. I slowly walked down the hallway toward the kitchen. As I passed a room on the left, I glanced inside. It was filled floor to ceiling with boxes, newspapers, and dozens of dusty picture frames leaning against the walls. The room had no furniture, just clutter. Hoarder-level clutter. "Danny?" I called out again, a little louder. Still nothing. Then I heard something. It wasn't her voice, it was the sound of floorboards creaking from the other end of the hall, but not walking. More like shifting, like someone standing just out of sight and slightly swaying back and forth. My stomach dropped. I turned back toward the front door, but I stopped. Because it was closed now. I didn't hear it shut, I didn't feel a breeze, it was just suddenly shut. I tried to stay calm. I turned on my phone flashlight and moved cautiously toward the back of the house. I just wanted to see if this Danny was even real or if I was walking into something I couldn't handle. Then I heard whispering, soft, quick, coming from behind one of the doors off the hallway. At that point I was done. I turned around and power walked to the front door. But the moment I reached for the handle, something banged against the door from the other side, like someone slammed their hand against it. I screamed and stumbled back. A second later, I heard quick footsteps running down the hallway behind me. I didn't even look. I ran through the living room, spotted a window, and threw myself through the screen. I landed on the porch and bolted to my car, not even bothering to look back. Once I was in, I locked the doors and peeled out of that cul-de-sac. I kept checking the mirrors the whole drive home, convinced someone had followed me or was hiding in my back seat. When I got back to my apartment, I finally looked at my phone. The listing? Deleted. Donnie's number? Blocked me. I filed a report with the police, but there wasn't much they could do. I didn't have a license plate, I didn't see a face, and technically, nothing happened. But I can still hear that whispering when it's quiet. And sometimes I wonder, was Danny ever real? Or was she just a name some psychopath used to lure people into that disgusting house? Either way, I don't scroll Craigslist anymore. This story happened back in 2019. At the time, I had just graduated college and moved back in with my parents for a while to save money. They live in a small rural town in Pennsylvania. One of those places where the most exciting thing is the gas station that serves pizza. After a few weeks of doing absolutely nothing, I decided to find some part-time work just to make a little money and kill time. I saw a Craigslist ad that caught my attention. Cash paid, help moving barn equipment, one-day job, $150. The poster said he needed help hauling some old tools and machinery out of a barn he recently bought. He claimed it would only take a few hours and all he needed was someone strong enough to lift heavy stuff. Sounded easy enough, especially for that kind of money. I emailed the guy and he got back to me the same day. Said his name was Walter and he was renovating the barn into a workshop. He asked if I could meet him out there the next morning at 8 a.m. and he gave me the address. It was about 45 minutes out of town, deeper into the wooded part of the county. I'd never even heard of the road he mentioned, but GPS picked it up, so I figured it was fine. The next morning, I got up early and drove out. The farther I went, the more isolated it got. Paved roads turned to dirt. Fences disappeared. Eventually, it was just tall trees and occasional glimpses of rusted-out sheds or trailers buried in the woods. Eventually, I pulled onto a narrow driveway that led to a clearing where the barn was. It was huge. Old, weather-beaten redwood with black shutters falling off the sides. There was a house nearby, but it looked abandoned. No cars, no lights, no signs of life. I parked and got out. At first, it was quiet, too quiet. The kind of silence that makes your ears ring a little. Then I heard something. From inside the barn, a loud bang like metal hitting concrete. "Hello?" I called out. No answer. I texted Walter. "Hey, I'm here." No reply. I waited another 5 minutes, then walked up to the barn door. It was partially open, enough to peek through. Inside, it was pitch black except for a small hanging bulb near the back that swung slightly, like it had just been moved. I stepped inside, calling out again, "Walter?" That's when I heard footsteps, heavy ones from up above. There was a loft in the barn, and whoever was up there was walking across it, slow and deliberate. I could hear the creaking boards with every step. "Walter?" I shouted again. Suddenly, the footsteps stopped. A few seconds passed, then something fell from the loft, an old rope ladder. It smacked the ground just a few feet from me. Then a voice called down, low and hoarse. "Come on up." I hesitated. I could barely see the man, just a dark figure standing still in the shadows above. "I just need a hand with this old press," he said. "It's too heavy for me to move alone." I didn't know what to do. Something about his voice felt off, like he was trying too hard to sound casual. Still, against my better judgment, I grabbed the rope ladder and started climbing. Halfway up, I heard something rustle behind me, like someone brushing against hay or straw. I froze. The air felt suddenly thicker. My heart started pounding. I didn't want to look down, but I did. There was someone else down there. I hadn't heard them come in. They were standing just inside the barn door, partially hidden in the shadows. I couldn't see a face, just a tall, stocky figure in a heavy coat and boots, just watching me. Then the guy above started moving toward me. I could hear the boards creaking again, fast and loud. I jumped back down off the ladder before he could reach the edge. "Hey, what's going on?" I shouted, backing away fast. Neither of them answered. Instead, they just stood there, one above me, one behind me. Then I noticed something else. Against the far wall of the barn, half concealed under a tarp, was a third person, sitting or slumped. I wasn't sure. It was hard to see from that distance, but I caught just enough of a glimpse, arms tied behind their back, duct tape across their face. Their eyes were open. I ran. I sprinted past the man at the door who didn't try to grab me, just turned slightly to watch. I didn't look back, didn't stop until I hit my car, slammed the door shut, and floored it in reverse. As I backed out, I caught one last look in the rearview mirror. All three figures were standing in the barn doorway now. Watching me, not chasing. Just watching. Once I was back in cell service range, I called 911. Cops showed up hours later. I filed a report and gave them the address, but the next day, they told me the barn was empty. No signs of anyone, no signs of any Walter, no tied-up victim. Just some old machinery and debris. I asked if maybe I had the wrong address, but I didn't. I still don't know what that was. A cult? A kidnapping ring? Some kind of sick setup? All I know is if I hadn't looked down when I did, if I'd gone up into that loft, I don't think I'd be here to write this story.